You're listening to CRBRadio.com. The words and opinions you are about to hear are of the hosts and do not reflect the management, sponsors, or affiliates of Cave Radio Broadcasting.
The views and opinions expressed by our show hosts do not necessarily reflect that of Sports Radio Detroit or its sponsors.
Marvin, what do you make of all this?
Man, I don't even have an opinion.
Well, you gotta have an opinion.
Hey, very exciting stuff. I think we're pretty much ready to go here with this podcast.
What the hell is a podcast? I mean, why don't you just tape it? What are you doing?
You don't have to tape it these days, Frank. We just record it right on the computer.
And once we start recording, Frank, we need you to stop eating those crackers. It's incredibly annoying, and it's all anyone's going to be able to hear.
Dead air.
Could you ease up on the crackers?
I'm getting bored with this. I'm going to bring my guest in.
You're listening to the SRD Roadshow on SportsRadioDetroit.com.
As we all stagger in on a Saturday morning here. Good morning, everybody.
How's it going, man?
Not too bad.
Top of the morning to you.
Top of the morning. Papchuk beat everybody here. I'm proud of Mike Papchuk.
You know, I wasn't going to say anything, but...
You should. You should be a little braggadocious because you have to beat me here.
No, because when it doesn't happen next week, then I just look like a jackass.
I mean, the sun shines on a dog's ass every now and then.
Yeah. Right? Did you just call me a dog's ass?
Apparently, yes. You are correct, sir. So, you're listening to us on CRB Radio Live, of course, on demand at SportsRadioDetroit.com. Find us on iTunes. We changed it. Again, I went back to Podbean because Podbean was a lot better. I was having some issues with Castnos. You can find all our stuff, the rest of our stuff on Castnos. But the main feed, SRD Roadshow, you can find it on Podbean. So if you want to check us out, rate us, review us. We appreciate all the reviews. We've been getting some feedback lately. We got welcome some new writers in, too. We got Joe Anthony, who joins us. He'll be writing movie critics, reviews, stuff like that. And a couple new episodes today dropping of Counting Tracks. Doing a Green Day episode. We're doing also a Over and Affair on Stone Temple Pilots. So 1994 is in full effect, and I'm old, and I'm going to be swimming in nostalgia porn for a little while, gentlemen, so I apologize.
That's a fresh cut, too, looks like.
Yes, I got my haircut yesterday. Taking some advantage of some downtime at the moment, and I got the lady got me a new phone, which I've come to find out does not have a headphone jack, which is why we're not Facebook Live streaming at the moment. So, did not know that.
Nice pre-Valentine's Day gift.
Yes, I think this is my Valentine's Day gift.
How does it not have a jack? Is it iPhone?
No, it's a Pixel 3, the XL, and yeah, it doesn't have a headphone jack. It has an adapter, and I noticed it yesterday. I'm like, oh, I'm not going to need that. Well, my dumb ass forgot that I probably needed it. So, but plenty going on. The NBA, we'll talk NBA. We're really going to recap the NBA trade deadline, which was kind of crazy. Watching it at the gym as Lance joins us. Lance, good morning. As I did not expect, Lance just like a ghost. Lance joined us this morning too, as well. But so yeah, there's a lot of things going on in the NBA. There's a lot of sports related stuff, including Papchuk. Papchuk, your baby face is a subject of scrutiny. Why?
Yeah, so I discovered this week after my new place of employment, closing a couple nights. I recently discovered where all of the policemen in Troy like to hang out, and it just so happens to be the corner that I work at.
Oh, nice.
I have been tailed on my way home every
corner
night.
You're working at?
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. I've been tailed every night on my way home.
It kind of gets weirder as you say it.
Exactly.
three times in the past 6 days, I was pulled over on my way home because a Troy cop claimed that my face lit up from my phone being on my lap. 2 of the times, my phone was in the seat next to me, and the other time it was in my pocket. I received a ticket for speeding, and I received a ticket for texting and driving. Still don't really know how I got that speeding ticket. Said I was going 10 over, but the cop said that he flew past me, so I don't really know what happened there, but Troy cops, stay away.
Are you going to fight it? Are you going to fight the ticket?
Oh, yeah. No. How did I get a speeding ticket? Like, the dude was literally like, what can I do? Fuck this kid. Oh, excuse my language. But, no, I'm bitter as hell about it. Just, I've been tailed every night, even the nights that I didn't get pulled over. I look behind me and I see somebody just following me, and then when I get to Big Beaver, just shoots past me. Every night.
I get nervous, like, I almost break out in hives every time a cop's behind me, even though I'm not riding dirty or doing anything. It's like, I'm automatically think that I'm, like, carrying 10 keys of coke or something. I'm just like, shit, there's a cop behind me. There's a cop behind me. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do?
For me, I see a lighter, and I'm just seeing $200 getting lit on fire every single time a cop gets up behind me, you know?
Yeah, make sure you take it to court, though. Like, every ticket I've ever gotten in life, which is probably like 150 of them, I've taken to court, and I have 0 points in my life.
Yeah, contested. They never show up.
Yeah. All they care about is the money. It's like, all right, well, you almost killed somebody. Well, here's double parking. Give me $200. You know what I mean? Like, that's all they care about.
It's monopoly, but there's been scenarios, and it hasn't happened since my early 20s, and actually since my intern days when I was interning. But there's been numerous times where I remember I got a 6-point reckless driving charge because two girls that we decided to wave at, they were driving an Explorer in a downriver city, we were cruising around, decided the cop believed them, and I had a 1993 Escort station wagon. That is not a car you can drive somebody off the road that has an Explorer.
Wait, what happened? You didn't really finish telling us.
So my buddies and I were going down for getting coffee, and we were driving by. We see these girls. My buddy waves them and says, "Hey," and they were like, "Ugh," disgusted. We didn't think of it. We circle down, get coffee, come back. We see them again. This time they're at a gas station at the corner of it's off Eureka. This is what's in there. They're at a gas station. They're talking to police officers. We don't think anything of it. As we go down, all of a sudden, the cop pulls it. Like the cop pulls over. We're like, okay. And at this point, I was 19, and I already gotten pulled over a couple times for DUHs, which is I think driving while Hispanic. So I just kind of, I was dismissing it that way. And then the cop pulls. He goes, sees my license is clearly from where I'm living. Goes, "Are you from Melvindale?" No, it says this is my address. You sure? Yeah. So he checks the car. He runs the car. He's there for a while. So we're sitting there going, we're just kind of miffed. And he asks us to pull up, get us out of the car. So we're like, okay. Were you trying to drive these girls off the road? What girls? What are you talking about? These girls were saying we were trying to drive them off the road and using profane language. I'm like, no, not at all. He's like, oh, okay. 6 points. I had to hire a lawyer. I had to get it all dismissed in court because my lawyer, when we go to talk to the prosecutor goes, just admit that you did it. I'm like, admit to what? We didn't do anything. And the entire time he was like, just admit it, and you'll just save yourself a lot of money, a lot of time.
Headache for no reason. Well,
yeah.
Well,
I still had that fear like you had, bro. Like every time I'm like,
well, technically your friend was a scrub because he was on the passenger side of his best friend's ride.
That's good. But but my two friends, I think if my two friends weren't as straight and narrow people, like upstanding citizens, I would have been screwed. But no, I've there's been times where I got pulled over. I'm just like, oh, let's just play this game. Let's just get this over with. There's numerous times, and
I've been pulled over. Even though I've gotten 150 tickets, I've been pulled over, and I've been searched and didn't get a ticket more times than I have gotten a ticket. I'm just so used to it. Like Westland, they're the worst. Like
they're pretty bad. But
let's not get too negative.
let's not say too negative. Cops do a really good job otherwise for everything else they do. So let's recognize cops for what they are doing, which is they do a good job. So Frank Robinson passed away this week. If anybody's not familiar with the Hall of Fame slugger, who was the first African American manager, the only man to ever win MVP in both the AL and NL, and it also thanks to Cincinnati in one of the worst one-sided trades in history.
What they say about him?
He's too old.
No, he's not a young 30.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they traded him away, and then he had like a career year. Like, bitches.
For Milt Pappas, who, if you looked at his numbers the year before, was kind of declining. So I don't know what Cincinnati was thinking. But either way, helped to win the 66 pennant. 66? No, is it 67? 67 pennant. Yes. Okay. So I'm trying to think. No, it was Cardinals won. Cardinals won 67. Sorry, 66. They beat They swept the Dodgers in 66, which I believe was Koufax's last year. There was just me humble bragging my baseball knowledge there, so I apologize. But no, Frank Robinson was one of the biggest impacts in baseball, and unfortunately, the one thing about him when he became the first African American manager on April 8th, 1975, was a few years after Jackie Robinson passed away, and Jackie was really wanting. He wasn't going to be back in baseball until a manager was a black manager was going to be part of the game. And he was also a player when he was the manager. He was a player-manager.
First player-manager, and his first at-bat of being a player/manager, he hit a home run.
Yeah, it's impressive. And
That's some real G stuff right there.
Yeah, and a lot of people have always said great things about him. And, yeah, he pretty much propelled Baltimore to their first title. And so his year for 61 when he won the MVP, 37 home runs, 124 RBIs, and batted .323. And when he won the MVP in Baltimore, what's interesting is that he said that he did it all on a bum knee. So can you imagine? I mean, all the way people are whining now about stuff all the time. But yeah, that year when they won the World Series, he had 2 home runs in that series off Don Giannis, who, by the way, was a beast for the Dodgers at that period of time. So, yeah, so he was a great man, and he'll be missed. And his impact on baseball, I think,
it runs deep.
Yeah, it runs deep. I mean, he's influenced so many people. So,
won 2 World Series.
Yeah, I mean, even as a manager, he was manager of the year 1989. But
he went like 186 and 189.
Yeah,
but that's still like. Player manager is just a crazy stat right there.
Yeah, and he's also as an admin. He did some administrative stuff for the baseball for the office. So
he got traded a few times, and it was always a bunch of people for him. No matter how old he was or what his stats were, if you look at all the stats and trades, there was always like 4 people, and then you get him. It's like, all right, well, I guess teams really still wanted him at his older age and stuff like that. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah. I'm just looking at his 1966 season. That would have won MVP today. Mm-hmm. Like, that's offensive. Like, because, everybody likes home runs nowadays. It wasn't like that necessarily back then, but he hit 49 home runs that year.
Yeah, considering
122 RBI. That is an MVP like level season right there.
Yeah, and look at his OPS, Mike. That's the one thing about.
I know it's over 1,000. His OPS plus is almost 300 or 200.
And what's the sick thing about this, you're right about that. The lack of offense in the 60s. This is when, like in baseball's overreacting right now. There's some rule changes on the way that they're talking about moving the mound back,
lowering it.
No, but they're also talking about I think moving it back too, right? Something like that.
No,
yeah.
I only heard lowering.
Oh, okay. I thought it was something about moving it back too. I'm not entirely sure, but they're talking about changing the rules again. But this is the late 60s, in which when it was, I think it was a couple, like it was Roger Maris's record plus. I'm trying to think of the Dodger player who had a really good season in '62. I think it was Davis. I think it was. I can't remember his first name, but baseball does this. They overreact when things get weird. But the year, 66 to 68, until they changed the mound in 1969, was just dominated by pitchers. And to have that kind of offense, he did have the lowest bat for MVP, 316. But still, think about it this way: the batting average in 1968. The average batting average across the league was 237 because just batters were getting wiped out. And you had to literally score. There was games where a lot of pitchers lost 1-0, 2-0, and it was just insane. So to put that kind of offense into context for 48 home runs in that period of time, Mike, you're absolutely right. It's mind-boggling. So, but
he was before my time. I wish I had heard about him a lot more when he was still alive. I've really only heard about the Jackie Robinsons and the Hank Aaron's of the world, but I hadn't really heard of Frank Robinson's name mentioned too much. But now I'm looking into his stats and just his like legacy period, being the first African American manager. Like, this guy is really important.
Yeah, he's very important. You're right. That's a good point, Raymond. I don't think he's talked about often enough. Because even when he became the manager of the Nationals, and it was, I don't want to say an afterthought. It was just like kind of a respect thing. But I mean, he was able to take a situation like in Montreal when he took over as the Expos manager, kind of a lame duck situation. They know full well that there's going to be a transition, and he handled it professionally, and he was able to look at his records. The records he had for the teams that he managed were I mean, he managed the Indians in the 70s. The late 70 Indians were not good. And so he was always in a situation where I think if he was a part of a contending team, he could have noticed the difference as a manager, but either way, he was just sub 500. So he took some teams that were really bad and made good with it. So can't beat that. There's a lot of the former players who don't make the transition well to be a manager. Ted Williams comes to mind, who was wasn't that good as a manager. I mean, he gave up pretty quickly, and so that comes to mind. But well, there's a person. I mean, he was a man who stuck to his guns. And speaking of somebody who stuck to his guns is this gentleman, and that is Avi Loeb, who is the top astronomer over at Harvard, who says there's an alien ship that may be among us. And I like this topic because it just confirms. There's a lot of people who are really weird about like UFOs and just kind of like a they believe in and they don't believe in.
I think they don't want to believe it. You know what I mean? Not that they don't. I mean, it sounds weird, but I think that they just don't want to believe it rather than they just don't at all.
Or it just, I think, here I am going to be an asshole right on everybody's parade.
That's fine.
Alien life definitely exists, but it doesn't exist in humanoid form. Like, aliens out there are not going to look like us. That makes no sense. The green or the gray alien that you picture in your head that has the exact same fucking. Sorry, man.
They're not going to speak English either.
That's what I mean. They're not gonna have these shape-shifting thing. Oh, we're gonna look exactly like it. It doesn't work that way.
Oh, so you know?
Yes, the universe doesn't work that way. But like, really, if you think about it, why would they be humanoid? Especially if they're from light years away or something, they would literally look nothing like us. So you'd notice right away. There's no chance that you would.
That threw off my entire mindset right there.
Honestly, I think there are, foreign creatures out there, but I feel like we don't have the senses to detect them. So
it's not definitely something like where the future's like this or aliens are just, we're all driving around in cars and it's all happy.
Oh, like Men in Black? Oh,
I think it's more like Men in Black. If we had to parallel it to a universe that's in the comics and stuff, I think it's more like Men in Black. Like, they might be among us right now. Or X-Files, for that matter. Like, there's things out there that we may not know exist. But
Lilo and Stitch.
But that was an interesting piece, though. I mean, because it's not like some Joe Blow from Pete's Pizza Hut or something. Like, it's a top astronomer at Harvard. You know what I mean? So the piece talks about late like October 2017, there was an asteroid, or they say it's an asteroid, and it was like
it was a blip of light, correct?
Yeah, and it was going like super fast. You know what I mean? Like faster than what an asteroid or whatever could be. And he was just kind of like making a point that that's probably like an alien ship right there. I mean, nobody wants to believe it. Oh yeah, you're an asshole. That's not an alien spaceship right there.
And that's what he said. It was, considering it was an artificial origin. One possibility it was Oumuamua.
Yeah.
It's a light sail floating in interstellar space as debris from advanced technology equipment. That's what he wrote to his colleague in the Astrophysical Journal's letters in November.
Yeah, and it was going like really fast with like almost like an aura coming from behind it, like something's pushing it, moving it away from the sun. You know what I mean? It's like it's an interesting piece, and it's like, I believe in aliens. Like, the Earth is way too of a minuscule piece in the universe for it not to be something out there. Yeah. More than likely, we'll never be able to reach it. It's hundreds and thousands of light years away.
Exactly.
But there's something else out there.
Yeah, he coined the term cosmic modesty, like the arrogance that humans are the only species that exist in the universe is ridiculous. I mean, like, I don't know. I agree with you said. We're not going to be able to detect it, or we might not even come close to it. But there's definitely some aliens out there playing sports too.
Well, because here's another thing that's interesting about this article too. is that Paul Sutter. What was it? What's the word I'm looking for again? Oumuamua is not an alien spaceship. It's it's a shocking example of sensationalism, ill-motivated science. Theoretical astrophysicist Ethan Stiegel wrote. Essentially, he's Sheldon from because that's the Big Bang Theory. Because that's what they are. They were just in theory. But what really pisses me off about this whole thing is that you're right, that the arrogancy of it all. And he's hosting stuff on Reddit about how Discovery Life will transform our life. Allow me to put my tin cap on for a second, guys. Come with me and put my tin cap on with me. If you think about the accident at Roswell in the 1940s, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, in terms of fiber optic cables and some of the technology that jumped up a little bit, how did that happen? A lot of people are like, there's been that theory that they're like, well, they got alien spaceship technology and applied it to regular life. I think out of all my tinfoil conspiracy theories, including the Pistons moving out of Detroit someday, which I think is one day will gatherly happen, this one I think there's some merit to it, because if you look at tubes and computers, computers were about the size of this building at one point, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere it starts kind of getting smaller and smaller, and it seemed like within a span of from the late 1940s to the 1970s, it just like that. Look, science is great, and there's so much in science that's just that, but there's also things that cannot. I don't know. There's a lot we learned in that period of time. All of a sudden, technology-wise,
I agree. Also, disagree, because all it takes is one person to have an idea, and then it actually works. You know what I mean? That's how a lot of things come up. You know what I mean? Like some of the greatest inventions. It just takes one daydream, one idea, and then it spirals, and then now you have something. So
that's how the Industrial Revolution worked 150 years ago. Same thing. Like, we were not an industrious society, and then a few inventions later, the entire country's covered in factories and machines and stuff. That's just how technology works. I agree with you. And
they're not going to tell us that. Oh yeah, we seen a reflection off that ship. It is a ship. Just because we've been preaching a certain thing for thousands of years, and we've been this and that. Like, just the idea of that there's aliens out there, like shit will hit the fan. Even though it could have a giant peace sign tattooed on or spray painted on the side of the spaceship. Like, if people knew that there was actual aliens and spaceships, people would lose their mind. So I completely agree that I do believe that there are aliens, and that the government knows of something about it, and they won't tell us. And I wouldn't tell us either.
You think there's aliens on Earth? Or?
I don't think they're on Earth, but I think they
Lance definitely thinks they're aliens.
I think they've been here. You know what I mean? They've landed. But just like some of the things that you see in movies, all right, we have different air and stuff like that.
Or this, Mike.
We're not hosting an intergalactic kegger down here.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And a lot of movies that you see,
torn.
like people, like the aliens, they can't adapt to our air, our atmosphere, and stuff like that. So
there's Area 51.
Rip Torn might be the alien, guys, honestly.
Yeah. No, Rip Torn rules in the movie. But also, we also have...
Yeah, but he crashed into a bank.
Did he?
Drunk, and he went to jail. Yeah, you don't...
No, I didn't know
I'm sorry, I don't mean to derail. Yeah, he got in a lot of trouble. Don't worry about it.
That's why it's called the Roadshow. We go a little over, but this guy believes in him.
Now, we would have difficulties today.
Oh, this guy.
Moving that stuff around. Now, I'm not
nobody
saying
recognizes
that we
his voice.
today cannot do it. I'm not saying that.
But they recognize
that
hair.
We're struggling
right?
with our modern technology. Is it really logical to suggest that our ancestors did this with pivots and with little ropes and with wooden rollers?
But just how...
I kind of was saying, that part right there,
he does have a point, you know what I mean? And just, they have ancient drawings, you know what I mean? It's not like somebody back then dropped a hit of acid and decided to draw some weird stuff on a wall, you know what I mean? You got a similar drawing in certain places, and then another similar drawing 10,000 miles away, you know what I mean? It's kind of like,
The internet.
They didn't have phones. You know what I mean? There wasn't long pieces of wire and tin cans.
You know what? It didn't. So we're existing in the dinosaurs. Remember the show, The Dinosaurs on ABC?
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of that's our kind of a medium. But no, like think about it this way though. So you mean to tell me that in the last 5,000 years we've gotten stupider then? Because if they're that smart to figure out the pyramids and get it all lined up correctly and everything, now all of a sudden, literally the average person can't, include myself.
Whoa. It's all about the times you live in, Roger. Like, if you want us, we're not dumber. If you really think about, if you really want to consider what you, like having a smartphone. I
don't think we're dumber.
We are way smarter than even our parents were at this time because we have access to all the information that we could ever want on our smartphones. We don't have to ask anybody questions. We can look it up ourselves and figure it out for ourselves. We have so much information at our fingertips.
And then here we are looking up nude pictures of an actress we saw in a movie.
But that's why I kind of feel like that we
They would have back then too, all right?
That's why I kind of feel like that we are dumber, just for the simple fact of look at the technology that we have, and nobody is using it for the right reasons or the right ways or anything.
Sure they are. We're inventing cures for cancer. While a lot of people use technology, they use it poorly, it doesn't mean that it's not all bad or all good. Like, there's always going to be good and bad with it, but it's just that we do things differently. Imagine people 100 years ago looking at something like this. Look at this setup that we have in this podcast. It's normal to us. It doesn't seem weird at all. But to them, they'd be clueless. They don't know how this works. They don't understand anything like that. But we do. It's just it's different now. We don't need the kinds of smarts that they had back then. I don't need to move a fucking man. I'm really bad with the swearing today. I don't need
those cops really pissed you off.
Yeah, really. But I don't need to know how to move a giant stone block. Why would I need to know that?
I hear what you're saying.
You know,
slaves.
So
we adapt to the times we're in, and if a skill isn't useful anymore,
I can't be here. I'm the only white guy. I'm officially guilted out, and I'm gone. Have a good show, guys.
No, well, you know what? That is the first act. That is at the bottom. I'm like, wait, you are. No, but there's okay. For all this technology we have in our fingers, and Rayvon, I agree with you to a certain extent. We are a little smarter than we used to be, but we've also become very complacent in that we want the knowledge at our fingertips at all times, but we don't use the knowledge. I mean, like, for example, I was at a job interview, and I did my research, and some people were some people were impressed by that, but there's people who go on these interviews and don't do your research on the company you're interviewing for. And when I've talked to recruiters, they're like, yeah, you'll be surprised how many people don't do that. I'm like, to me, it's common sense. You just Google it, and you spend an hour on researching any company, you can go in there armed with information. Go ahead.
But it's like the famous quote, I mean, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. You know what I mean? Like, we have all this amazing technology and the things at our fingertips. A lot of people don't use it whatsoever. You know what I mean? Like, so...
I know, like, you know, you're right. I have a lot of faith in humanity, but there's sometimes I get too cynical about it. But there's something among us. I don't, but I'm glad that this guy's sticking to his theory, and we'll post a link on when we post the show so you can find more about it. And he grew up in a farming village, and I think people are trying to like dumb mine a little bit, but he's also there's a part of it too where he name drops a lot. So he's like, I had dinner with Stephen Hawking. I've hung out with. He said Steven Spielberg once asked him for movie tips. So there is a part of it too where you're like, well, are you just doing this really for the celebrity aspect of it, or do you really believe that?
And you got to have an open mind to it. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't know for a fact or can prove it for a fact, you got to have an open mind to the idea and the concept of it. You know what I mean? So I'm with it. We're if you look at how big Earth is compared to other planets, and we can't even see the other side of certain planets.
And there might be,
you know what I mean?
50 gajillion other planets out there.
Yeah, and we just can't see it. You know what I mean? We need that George Jetson little sound, and we can go other places.
Well, it's also too because like there's people also who all of a sudden don't believe that the moon has landed. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm not not trying to go down this conspiracy road, but you know why? The only reason why I think it's plausible that we didn't make it to the moon, because of the situation that we were in at that time with Russia. It makes so much sense for America to just be like, oh, yeah, we did it. We got there before them. Yeah, screw you, Russia. We did it. And
we're never going back.
And we're never going back. That's the only reason I buy into it. I don't buy into any of the other crap that anybody says. It's literally just because makes sense.
Have you seen First
sense.
Man? Have you seen First Man?
No, what is that?
It's where they're talking about the moon landing. It's with Ryan Gosling. And they're
second baseman right now, predominantly for the Mets, but he can swing the bat.
USA. But yeah, I mean, it kind of went back and forth. It kind of talked about that, but yeah, it is talking about the moon landing and stuff like that. It was actually a pretty interesting movie that I watched on the Fire Stick for free. But I do believe that we spent a lot of money. A lot of people got hurt. A group of people died just doing a practice run. You know what I mean? So they had to, but we gotta succeed somehow. You know what I mean? Go to Universal. You know what I mean? Build up a set. One way or another, we gotta succeed, because we're not gonna get any more money from the people unless we show them results. So
yeah,
and that's the other thing. It's all right, we went there. Yeah, it's like the desert. We don't really care. How much did you see? Just a little bit of it. They
brought back some souvenirs, right, from the moon. They brought back some rocks or something.
Yeah. But did you see the other side of it? No. Mm-mm. So what do you mean there's nothing there? Just because.
Oh, can we mine for oil? No.
Let's go somewhere else. How about Mars then?
Yeah,
why are we so fascinated?
This is boring.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but there's no footage of anything other than what we've seen, and we can't find that footage. NASA claims they can't find that footage.
Yeah.
And I'm skeptical, because anytime you look at a planet and you can see stars, but then you land and you don't see stars, that's a big question mark to me.
Yeah,
I see stars when I look up in my front yard,
but they didn't have good cameras back then, though.
No, I've heard
there was no HD.
That has to do with that has to do with atmosphere and stuff too, though.
Oh, guys,
I mean, look.
Have you ever been to the moon? How do you know you can see stars at the moon?
I feel like saying this is going to make me sound like a giant jerk. We were just talking about if we think people are smarter or not. This is just it. This is the problem. This is why people don't vaccinate their children.
I don't.
This is why. What?
I don't vaccinate my children.
Are you serious?
I'm super serious.
I don't vaccinate myself either.
I haven't gotten a flu shot.
Why? This is okay. So you're not going to like me right now then.
No.
This is the problem, I think, with the internet and what Pro was saying earlier, how people misuse it. People think that they can just go on the internet and do their own research, and it doesn't matter what professional, paid, real researchers who have the actual knowledge to know what they're doing.
Let's stop that for a minute, because I do want to get to horse. There's quite a bit that happened in the NBA. But yes, that is a fascinating conversation.
I was about 10 seconds from being done, and
please
cut me down into my prime.
Continue.
You use information that you don't fully understand, and you can find things that fit your point of view. That's what people do with the internet. You don't look for actual facts. You look for something that's going to support what you think, and you can always find what
a confirmation bias.
Yeah, you can always find that on the internet, and that's why I agree with you that we just don't use technology correctly.
You lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
But yeah, we have to
have that conversation. So
yeah, we do have to. And honestly, it's like this song's kind of old and dated, but the song is kind of relevant to even now. It came out in '83.
He brings up the police a lot.
I do. I find ways to do it because, quite frankly, I'm pretty good at that. Damn it. But no, it's the song. It's too much information, and that's what it is. It's way too much information. When Jenny McCartney started the whole "I don't vaccinate because it causes autism," people bought it verbatim. Whether it's. And then now there's a measles outbreak because of kids that are not being vaccinated. So,
I don't know. I've never taken a flu shot. I've never gotten the flu.
I was about to, I was about to, we don't have to.
I think we had this conversation when I first met Roger. This is kind of a stable conversation.
Yeah, I don't want to get a flu shot that's going to make me feel like crap for a day, for the only purpose of the shot is to not make me feel like crap for a day.
I'm talking about vaccines. Not
I know.
boosters.
I'm talking. Well, he just brought a flu shot, so I was like,
it's a little different.
Vaccines. There's two different schools of thought. There's not one in the middle. I think with this, it's either believe in them.
There's a correct way and an incorrect way to think about it.
No,
for a fact, it works.
Yes.
I haven't got measles. So, I mean.
Yeah, my kids have not been sick other than the common cold.
But that's not. Yeah, we can't talk about this.
All right,
that's not
all
why.
right, let's go. Yeah, like I said, there's plenty that's going on in the NBA. There's a lot to happen. Like I said, when I was at the gym when a lot of stuff broke down and Toronto getting bigger. There's a lot of stuff. So let's go start with H. Let's talk some business. I like that. Was that you, Rayvon, that put that in bold? I like that. That was nice. Let's talk some business.
No, that wasn't me.
That was Mike.
Mike? Okay. All right. So I'll start with you, Rayvon. Any impactful or surprising trades that made at the deadline that blew your mind?
Porzingis. I didn't see that coming. That put Dallas back on the map. I mean, I think any free agent looking to, go play somewhere. I mean, I would consider Dallas. You don't pay any state tax in Texas. You got two rising European stars, Luka, Porzingis. You have a team friendly owner in Mark Cuban. You have a good coach, Rick Carlisle. I mean, pretty solid environment. I thought Dallas won the trade. I like the Tobias Harris trade as well for Philly. That put them right at the top.
It's also in the trade collective bargaining agreement that anywhere the Harris trade, Boban goes with them. It's just a
Boban.
Yeah,
I love Boban.
Yeah, me too.
I got the chance to shake his hand.
Every time Tobias Harris gets traded, I just think of that Fresh Prince of Bel-Air scene where Will Smith's crying. He's like, "Why don't they want me, man?" Because nobody wants Tobias Harris. The next team always wants Tobias Harris, and that's just. I feel bad for him.
Well, the Clippers wanted Tobias, but he turned their contract down last year, and now since they're going in different directions, even if he would have signed a contract last year, he probably still would have got traded this year.
He's 25, and he's been on 6 teams or 5 teams.
Well, look at the teams that he's on. You know what I mean?
Well, I know,
but it's not like out of bad play. It's just a team sucks and they got to go in a different direction. You know what I mean? But like what the Clippers did just from the Blake Griffin traded Blake Griffin, and then they got Tobias and blah blah blah. They traded him. They got basically 5 first-round picks for trading Blake Griffin, which is just absolutely crazy.
And they have Gallinari's contracts too.
Yeah, but I like the Tobias deal. I like everything that the Philly did to begin with. You know what I mean? Like Mike Scott is a underrated. You know what I mean? Backup guard for him. Tobias, I mean, he's shooting 44% from 3. You know what I mean? Like, he was the leading scorer on a team, and it's not like he's old. So now he was a leading scorer on a team. Now he's like the 3rd best person on a new team, which is just like crazy. Now, as long as they all stay healthy, I kind of feel like Philly's starting 5 can go with anybody. Now they could.
I found the audio, by the way, of the trade.
They could. Actually, this works out better for me. You know, the Slimmies of summer come to class wearing next to nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's all right to be angry.
Oh, I don't think.
Hey, why should I be mad? I'm saying, at least he said goodbye this time.
I'm gonna cry.
I just wish I had.
At least the Clippers said goodbye.
Stupid present.
Well, at least they didn't say that he was going to retire there or something before they.
6 months before they traded him.
You know, ain't like I'm still 5 years old. You know, ain't like I'm gonna be sitting up every night asking my mom when's Daddy coming
really
home.
Depressing.
You know,
Yeah, you know what?
Bring everything down.
You know what? Second thought, yeah.
That's why I said it. I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
Like if that moment didn't hit hard when you actually watched the show,
yeah,
you have no soul.
Yeah,
you got no soul.
Yeah.
No, yeah, you know what? It was one of the moments on TV where I was in tears. I'm not gonna lie. It was just
Tobias. You know what I mean? I watched the game last night, and then the crowd loves him. You know what I mean?
He fits right in.
He fits right in, and like it just fits their team. Now, yes, they can blow up at any given time too, but I like exactly what they. I feel like they overpaid a little bit, just because I don't feel like anybody else would have given them that many picks for him. Like, who else was calling for
Tobias? Give him 4 picks.
You know what I mean? 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and 1 pick was the Miami unprotected 2021. But either way, it was kind of precursor. Okay, if Butler leaves, we keep Tobias. If Tobias leaves, we keep Butler. You know what I mean? But we got the best starting 5 in the East for sure,
by far. And that Jonathan Simmons pickup for Markelle Fultz was nice.
Yeah, because they were both lottery picks. Jonathan Simmons was good in San Antonio. He took the money in Orlando and hasn't been found since. So at least they got.
Yeah, he had his best year in Orlando. Averaged 13.9.
Yeah.
That trade was the weirdest one, by the way. Orlando buying somebody.
But at the same time, so it's like, all right, like Orlando's not going anywhere, so why not?
So why not give up your first and a second round?
But here's the thing. It's a top 20 protected first. If it doesn't land in outside the top 20, it becomes 2 second-round picks. So essentially, you got either the last 10 picks of the first round or 3 second rounds. I'll do that. Well, that's nothing
for a guy that might not ever play,
or could play and be phenomenally good. You know what I mean?
I don't know if he'll be phenomenally good. He never has been.
But there's still an upside to him. Jonathan Simmons, you see what you're going to get out of him. All right. What's 3 second round picks? What's 3 second rounds?
Really,
about half the Pistons roster.
There's a lot of wild cards in there.
That was in my brain, but I didn't want to throw the. I didn't want to throw the shit.
Pap check. I mean, what was another trade that stood out to you?
Well, I mean, yeah, I thought that the Orlando trade was just weird. It didn't make sense for where Orlando was going. But Marc Gasol going to the Raptors, I think, is a big deal.
That's my favorite trade.
That was a good upgrade.
For now, not long term.
The problem is Valanciunas never played that much for Toronto, and I don't think Marc Gasol is going to like that. He's not going to have like a huge role there. He's just going to be the big man. They don't really need him to score all that. I don't know. It's going to be different than what Marc Gasol's used to, so it's going to be interesting to kind of see how he plays with it. But if he accepts that, I think the Raptors got a lot better. And
a hell of a lot better. Valanciunas, yes, he's going to be good in a couple of years. You know what I mean? He is a dominant big man, but they weren't using him in the right way. And then he's basically sharing minutes with Ibaka. And he doesn't shoot the three as well as Marc Gasol. So I kind of feel like that deal for Toronto got them like exponentially better just because Marc Gasol is great. And so when the Grizzlies were like 12-5 and they were looking great at the beginning of the season, he was playing at a high clip, shooting, I think it was like 49% from three. But then once the team sucked, like, all right, this is another shitty season. Well, I'm not about to give you 110% every game. So, yes, his play has fallen off since then. But being on a winning team that's actually going somewhere, I think it's going to give him some spark, and it's going to be big for Toronto.
Are you surprised Memphis didn't pull the trigger on Mike Conley? I mean, there was some talks with Indiana. And
they didn't get what they wanted for him, really. They thought that they'd get more for him is what I think happened. His contract has something to do with it. But I think also that they valued Mike Conley more than the rest of the league did because he was there.
Yeah, and I think it's also, too, the fact that I think he is a franchise player for the Grizzlies. And if you look up in terms of franchise players, the Grizzlies really haven't had, I mean, in terms of people who have kind of stuck around Memphis for a while, Conley comes to mind. He kind of was the one that kind of generated that excitement with when Lionel Hollins was there. But interesting enough, though, I think the biggest to me was Milwaukee getting a little bolder. I mean, Milwaukee has always, from growing up, outside of the 80s, Milwaukee's in the Ray Allen years, they've been kind of like just an afterthought. You know, not like, I don't want to say like a has-been team, but an afterthought. So
they have been.
Yeah, and so for them to get aggressive like this and then to flip Stanley Johnson to New Orleans like that too. I mean, sorry Stanley, but
I'm kind of like, after they made the trade, I was like, why couldn't we just trade Stanley Johnson for Mirotic? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we got Thon Maker. We got Thon Maker out the deal. Like, yes, he is pretty good, but if knowing that they basically got Mirotic for Stanley Johnson, I was like, well, damn, he could have been on our squad. I would have liked Mirotic better than Thon Maker, but I really like what that trade for the Bucks as well.
Mirotic been on the roster? Doesn't he make more than $500,000?
But
I'm just saying.
Here's by the way, we'll start with this.
And then you ruined it by talking about Lonzo is better than LeBron. You know that's not true. You know that.
Why?
What you mean, why?
Why? Because LeBron been in the league for 15 years? I mean, how do you judge LeBron being better than my son? I ain't gonna say nobody better than my son.
It's okay if it's the truth.
But if my son can play, which I know what I put into
not
him,
saying he can't
as
play.
far as shooting and passing and playing and running, LeBron hurt. He getting old. He getting old. He getting old. I tell you this, he can't guard Lonzo on that fast break.
LeVar.
Can't move that fast.
Your guy shooting 23% from the
can
three-point line.
10%.
40% from the free throw line. How can he be better than the GOAT?
You talking about percentage of shooting free throws? Don't tell me about no free throws.
Okay, what about
He been in the league for a long time. What was LeBron shooting from the free throw line?
Like 68%.
I can tell you what. He been in the league a long time to not be able to make no free throws.
He ain't never shot 40%.
I want to know what the
He ain't got to
he
shoot
goes
40%.
to.
He ain't never shot 20%.
Yeah, that was. I'm not sure. So that was LeBron. That was Lamar.
That's having too much confidence in your child.
Yeah, that's the ultimate definition of a helicopter bird. That's LeVar Ball talking about Lorenzo Ball, which kind of leads to our next part of O, which is what's more demoralizing, being traded or possibly being traded but it never happening. I'll start with you, Lance. I'll start with you on that.
I think it's worse to know that you're on the block and then you don't go because it disrupts the kind of continuity of the team. And with that, I'm thinking about the Lakers. Like, they were publicly putting out all of their trade ambitions, and then it went down the toilet. Like, they did a terrible job during the deadline.
Yeah, you know what's amazing, too, is that Magic Johnson, for how long he's been in the league for as a player.
He should have a better feel of that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And also, I mean, he is very...
Big Magic Johnson.
Big Magic Johnson. Yeah, like, he's been... He's, you know, he does a lot with it, even with the Dodgers, too. He's,
right.
You know, he's out there, and it's just, it blows my mind. It really does.
But
blow my mind.
I don't think it was like that's Rich Paul and in the league. I don't feel like that was all Magic. Yes, they probably did have to go through him. Like, hey, do you care if we do this? Mm-hmm. But at the same time,
he done. Can you tell me, Big Magic Johnson?
Well, yes, he's a business person.
He has AIDS.
Did he do any business? Did he help anybody in South LA?
I think.
By the way, he has Matt Johnson has owned a successful chain of movie theaters that he managed himself.
But
and sold.
The Pelicans ran, you know what I mean, a gamble, and I think they're going to shoot themselves in the foot when Boston doesn't want him in the offseason.
All right, we're live on Facebook, by the way. Thank you, Mike.
But that's neither here nor there. It all depends on the lead up of the trade. Yes, they were about to sell the farm. You know what I mean? So that's a little bit different.
Yeah.
But anybody can be traded at any given time for anybody. You know what I mean? So I'm not really mad at anybody who could possibly be in trade. Like, all right, doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if the deal fits better for the team, it's a business.
Yeah.
But the whole lead up, I think the Lakers situation was pretty bad, though.
It's definitely not a bad idea to be traded because that means you're wanted. Other teams see that your skill set fits into what they do well, and they want a part of that. In the case of the Lakers, when they were saying throw the whole kitchen sink at them, I mean, that was pretty bad. I mean, you had everybody being offered, I mean, save for LeBron. I mean, LeBron and Curry are the only untradeable players in the league, in my opinion. So, I mean, everybody's on the table at any given time.
Yeah, I kind of feel like it depends on the build up, and they were like, whatever, who do you want? You name it, you got it. You know what I mean? So that kind of hurts, but at the same time, I'm glad the deal didn't happen. For you know what I mean? Like, they were offering way too much. Now, when it doesn't happen New Orleans way in the summertime, now we're going to take two players off that deal. You know what I mean? Now you're going to get what you're going to get. But that's a different conversation. But
yeah,
it does hurt to just know the team doesn't want you. And then, all right, we do want you for the rest of the year. You know what I mean? We need you to play hard.
Exactly. It's demoralizing when they tell you you're prioritized. Like when Magic is saying, Lonzo, your jersey is going to be in the rafters one day, and then next year you're getting traded. I mean, that does hurt. That's demoralizing.
I don't understand why people say that. You know, like, don't say what somebody wants to hear. Just be realistic. Like, if I'm
exactly
like even in my managements with people, I've always said I can't promise anything. You can't promise that. I mean, that's why Blake Griffin has a chip he does on his shoulder, and rightfully so. They were told that, like, you know, you're going to be a Clipper for life, and they did this whole ceremony behind it, and then he gets traded a month later. Like, don't do that. It's disingenuous. You don't.
But they could probably had the intentions, and then things didn't go a certain way. Like, I'm not mad at you say something, just like I know we don't need a crosstalk, but like, all right, football. Oh yeah, they said that the Lions were a playoff team. We should be better. I'm mad that they told us that we weren't going to like downgrade. You just don't know what's going to happen. You know what I mean? Out. Like, you want to say, no, yeah, we're signing with this big deal. I hope he's here for life, but if a right deal comes, I'm going to trade his ass. Like, you want him to say that?
Yeah.
No, we signed a contract. We're gonna stay into this contract. He's gonna be here for the full 6 years. Like, no, that's not how
you
business
just let players
works.
know, like, it's all contingent upon your play at the end of the day. You know, and anything can change, even if you're playing well.
Yeah, like,
well, no,
he was playing well.
To do with the way that they. Well,
yeah,
it does a little.
He was playing well. The
way
team
the rest
sucked.
of
It
his
was like,
team
all
was
right,
playing.
yeah. So, but I mean, it's got to hurt. I mean, clearly they got blown out by the Pacers by 42 on the eve of the trade deadline. So you knew, like, the hell am I going to go out here?
Player.
Like, you think I'm going to go out here and play hard? You going to trade me tomorrow? See what happens. Shoot.
Same time.
Shit, watch this. Watch this.
All right, but so speaking of the trade deadline, we go to the Pistons, and I know I'll start off with Papchek on this too, because I thought some of the Pistons, like in terms of making moves, and you heard reported that Tom Gores rejected 2 trades last year. Stan Van Gundy was trying to make for Drummond, which kind of irked me a little bit. I'm not going to lie, but Papchek, what did you think of the Pistons' moves?
I mean, they're pretty nothing. They didn't really do much.
Yeah,
they stood pat. They're minor moves. They flipped Stanley Johnson because they flipped Stanley Johnson for a player that has a bit more potential, is younger, and is cheaper over the next couple years. That's what they got in Thon Maker. And they traded away the sorry, I lost my train of thought there. But anyway, that's not really like a really big deal. And then the Reggie Bullock trade, they got, again, a young guy with potential who's under team control, very, very cheap for the next couple years. And then they got a second-round pick. So it's great that they flipped 2 players that aren't going to be on the team next year anyway. But it's not like this was, like, great, you know? They didn't get a bunch of assets or something. They got 2 young guys that they're going to need because they can't afford to fill out their roster any other way. And they got another second-round pick, which you see Kyrie Thomas and Bruce Brown both playing this year as second-round picks. That's what's going to happen next year. Yeah, well, Bruce Brown, we'll see. Defensively, he's all right. Offensively, well, he's got a long way
challenge
to be determined.
Oh, yeah. But either way, it was necessary because they need cheap players, and they got them.
And they got high upside. Not to
they
cut off your
you're right.
You're pointing at, but Svi, whatever his last name is,
Kyle Cook.
Yeah. No, he's not trying to spit anything. That was his guy's last name. But yeah, he has a high upside, and like during the summer league, that's how he got his contract. Like he played his ass off. You know what I mean? So he's got a little bit of an upside. Same thing with Thon Maker. I mean, it didn't move the needle whatsoever, exactly. But at least they got some role players with high upside that could maybe help in the future.
Under team control for Svi's got a 3-year deal, so he's the next 2 years, and then Thon, it was a first-round pick, so he had a 4-year or a 3-year deal with an option. So that's 2 more years of those players as opposed to Reggie and Stanley, who were gone after this year.
And players who have the potential, but weren't getting the minutes in other places. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. If you want to know his pronunciation, by the way, this is how he pronounces his name.
It's like Sviatoslav Mikhailuk.
See, I was really close.
One more time.
Mikhailuk.
We'll do it one more
A
time.
little more spit and you would have got there.
Here we go.
It's like Sviatoslav Mikhailuk.
Slatoslav.
Mikhailuk.
We'll just call you
Holy crap, I actually said it.
Svi.
I'm excited.
Roger never pronounced his name.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's like you know what, Papchek, that's well done. I can't even say Latin names right.
I wasn't happy with the GM or non-GM what he said. Like, yeah, we're trying to make the playoffs. And
wait, we could talk about this. What do you mean you don't like it? I think that as a GM, if you admit that you're not trying to win, then that almost means you can get fired. Like, it's his job to win, right?
Man, there was teams selling. Like, we ain't going. Team's not going anywhere. You should have sold a few more pieces.
I mean,
like you want to not sell and have a 0% chance of winning in the first round compared to having a 9% chance of landing in the top 10 of the draft.
They sold 2 players. They look.
They didn't sell anything. They just
Reggie Bullock was the best shooter on the team. That's a sell. It's a very soft sell, and it's embarrassing to admit that, but he was. But we have this argument all the time, Mike. I don't think that anybody, like, what other asset do the Pistons have? They don't have assets. Next year, it's going to be awesome. Reggie Jackson and, well, John Lure, God, I hope they find him some minutes, because if he can convince an NBA team that he is a competent 10 to 12 minute player, next year his contract's valuable. It's an expiring contract. Same with Reggie. If they just can do something with those next season, it'd be awesome. They have contracts that will be good next season to get rid of.
That's what I'm
but
saying.
This
I
year,
feel like
I don't think they really had the opportunity.
All right, before we move on, though.
Well, hold on.
Go ahead.
What was Mike going to say? Sorry.
Like, take some future picks. You know what I mean? Take whatever you can. Like, I don't see him going anywhere. I just think that Tom Gores just wants to make the playoffs, and making the playoffs is like the championship. As long as we get there, we won. You know what I mean? I don't care what happens as long as we get there, and that's just a wrong mindset to have, but whatever. I don't like the Pistons anyways.
That's what you take the bias. Rayvon, what are you going to...
I didn't really care for that Wayne Ellington pickup from Miami. I mean, in the buyout market.
Why? They finally cut Ellington. I'm so happy.
Nobody
He's
else
finally gone.
That was the only...
Didn't do anything.
Dude's arms are like this big around, I swear. I'm sorry.
That was the reason why they did that is because, so there's, 15 people who might get bought out. 14 of them said, I'm not going to Detroit.
Too bad too bad we couldn't have gotten Melo.
You know
right?
what I mean? And he said, all right. What did Wayne say? He didn't say no. If he didn't say no, it's a yes. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's the only person who would have came here. Nobody else.
I know.
And
that's what I'm saying.
You know why he came? Because we don't have a single 3 on the roster. So he's just like, look at this. He's probably going to start. Because, like, really, who do they have?
They don't have a shooter. They don't have a shooter.
Forward.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Glenn Robinson.
Yeah.
But that's
the Bullock. I think that they just made that just because they needed depth moving forward. But
you know what?
That was a big move for the Lakers. Though.
He's a power forward, right?
Yeah.
What?
What is Fee? I don't actually know anything about him. He's a power forward, right?
He's 3/4.
Okay, yeah, that's exactly something. I'm sorry, I didn't look into that.
To mention, look, I mean, Ed is being creative in the mindset or in the limited space he has, because Gores has to be. He's not being a fanboy.
He's the GM. Gores is the GM. That's why no other GM wanted to come here. That's why the guy who's our acting GM. I'm gonna find somebody, and I'm just gonna tap myself on the back, and I'll just be the GM right now, even though Gores tells me what to do.
No, but I think with Ed's clout experience, I think you can tell Gores, pump the brakes, man. Like, seriously, the shirt, first of all, button that up. Secondly, let me take care of it. I know basketball stuff. Let basketball people do basketball moves, because he's not gonna. I don't want Gores to be what Illich was in the mid '90s, and just he let baseball people do what baseball people do, but. When he started signing free agents and all that stuff, kind of interfered with that a little bit. But
before we go to ask a quick question for everybody. So, if they took Reggie, would you have wanted Mike Conley?
No.
No.
Hell
I want
no.
to say yeah, because he's a better point guard.
But he's $34 million the next 2 seasons. No. They're so close. Just we need one more bad year before we can finally start getting out of these contracts. And all I want to say, last thing. We should be happy. This is the first time since Stan Van Gundy's first year as coach that they did the right thing at the trade deadline.
True that.
They didn't buy, and we should just accept that universally. If you're a Pistons fan, accept that as a win, honestly.
We have a first-round pick.
Yes.
Wait, you guys have a first-round pick moving forward.
Oh, okay. All right. Moving on.
I'll just go real quick, just as
okay.
a fan, like just watching the product. I'm just tired of seeing Reggie Jackson. That's my only point. Like, at this point, you can put my.
He's up there with Josh Smith.
He's one of the worst point guards in the league.
And he's so
honestly,
it's like
Mike said that. Look it
Is
up.
he a top
and
20
he
point guard?
immediately just looked at me. He's like, "Come on, do something."
Especially the Pistons have traded away.
Well, they could have sold, and it would have been amazing.
Rogers rejoices.
But doing nothing and keeping keeping your first-round pick, like you should get 2 gold stars for that.
Yeah.
You know
All
what I
right,
mean?
let's move on, because there's quite a bit going on after this, so I want to get through.
for sure.
So, S.
I have nothing to do with the Knicks. I don't know who traded Porzingis. They got nothing to do with me. I'm trying to play basketball. Y'all come here every day, ask me about free agency, ask my teammates, my coaches, you rile up the fans about it. Let us play basketball. That's all I'm saying. And now when I want to talk to y'all, it's a problem with me. Come on, man. Grow up.
I give him a lot. I mean, you can say what you want about Kevin Durant, whether about the trolling accounts and all that stuff, but he's got a point, and that is part of the ask question. You just heard the rant. Is he being Drake in his feelings, or does he have a point or does he have a point but showed too many feelings? LOL. So I don't. Who wrote that question? Was it
I
you?
did.
Yeah, okay.
He did show too much of his emotions, but I kind of go back and forth with this. Yes, it's your fault for signing 1-year deal, so people are going to ask about your free agency. Secondly, make a blanket statement. Hey, I'm not answering any questions about what I'm doing this offseason. You'll see that shit in the offseason, so don't ask me. That's what LeBron did. People stopped asking him. But at the same time, he's got a beef with that with whatever that guy's
Ethan
name is.
Strauss.
Yeah, he has a beef with him, and I completely get it. Like he said, you come in here every single day and you don't talk to anybody, but then you write shit like you got the words straight out of my mouth. Like, bro, who are you? And I completely agree with that. Like, media people do that all the time, and it's like whatever. I haven't had a chance to go read the piece what he was talking about, but he was really upset because he was like, yeah, who are you? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he had a real beef with this person, and it kind of boiled over a little bit more. So, yes, he is always in his feelings, but I get him, though. Like, man, like, you're writing stuff to get publicity using words out of my mouth that never even came out of my mouth. So, I feel him.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like to me. I think his struggle is he's got to deal with this all the time, and plus, I mean, when you have the label of
you were the chosen one, it was said that you would destroy this thing, not join them.
I mean, it happens. I mean, I don't know, Rayvon, what do you?
My only irritation with KD is he leaves the door open for these questions. Like you said, he doesn't just say, "Hey, I'm shutting these questions down. Ask me July 1st." He doesn't pull a Kyrie.
He shouldn't have to.
He just kind of beats around it and says, I'm just going to do what's best for me. And it's like you just won 2 championships.
So you think he answers too many cliches? In other words,
yeah,
okay.
He leaves it vague.
Okay. He can't comment on it. He'll get fined, just like AD did. Mm-hmm. So he's not going to say it. Media members know that. Why should he have to say that? Why should he have to say he's not going to talk about it? He's not. You think he's got the Knicks GM on his phone calling him like, hey, get rid of Zingas and I might come over there. No, it's teams can act independently of the player, and that's what's happening. Teams gear up to sign big free agents, and that's what they were doing. So it has nothing to do with him. Well, it does, but it has nothing to do with what he's saying. It's literally because he's a great player, and the Knicks are so desperate to get great players back there.
This isn't the first time he's talked about free agency this year. Like, he's kind of hinted that he might leave, like, in general. Like, even when they took him...
because they've been publicly feuding, the Warriors. He can't say anything about the team, so when you ask something specific, what is he supposed to say? He can't.
I'm not
say
answering that question.
Or he could say he's sick of... Like, they don't have to ask it. There's a difference between doing your job, in my opinion, when you just can't comment on it.
We don't know if he's made that statement, like, hey, stop asking me this question. You ask me the same question every week, and I'm going to give you the same answer. How many times are you going to ask me before you stop asking me? Like, clearly you're not getting an answer from me. You're going to ask me again next week? Okay, I'm going to ask you the same question. Like, are you stupid? But he's got some ill feelings against that
Ethan
report. Ethan Strauss. And it's like, it's completely warranted. You know what I mean? Like, don't come into the locker room, and doesn't speak to anybody.
Just come out with your notepad and just take
notes.
You know what
I mean? It's like, oh yeah, Kevin Durant said that he likes the Knicks and do this. Like, bro, where'd you get that from? And it's like, I love the way how we cut into it. Like, who are you? The guy's like, I've covered the past 300 games, but who are you? Like, damn, way to break a man's, you know what I mean, whole vibe down. But I kind of feel like a lot of athletes feel the same way that he does, but they just don't say it. I just want to come here, play basketball, and go home. All this extra shit I don't want.
You can't do that.
You know what I mean?
That's part of it.
And yes, you are in the wrong market. There's 5 cameras per every player in Golden State compared to other places.
He should take notes from his teammates. Steph Curry is like a media darling. Like, he knows how to handle these.
Okay,
these
but
like,
it was his team, though.
They're completely different.
They're different
human
people,
beings.
but it's like just take notes of how he handles himself during press conferences.
They couldn't have two more opposite career paths.
Yep.
One of them from a small school, unheralded, forgotten about for years. Kevin Durant was number 1 recruit, number 1 pick or number 2 pick, and he has been a star since he was 17, really. So they could not be more different people.
Also, too, I think Durant doesn't really handle the media well as a whole. You can tell he gets so uncomfortable with straightforward questioning, and he doesn't know how to handle it. And it's because he's never really had to be responsible because he's been a star.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
So now what
we
you're
had
seeing,
shows on that topic.
Yeah, what you're seeing over the
actually.
last couple of years now with are you going to get traded here? Are you going to leave? Are you going to leave? Or whatever. You're seeing him crumble at his foundation because this is who he is as a person. He's a people pleaser. And what's happening now is he's being, like, revealed. He doesn't really know how to handle problems.
But he also, like, he just wants to do his job.
I agree with that.
He just wants to do his job.
He's
and then,
not bold enough to just say it. Like you said, LeBron last year. Hey, look, I'm not answering that. Like, he's not bold enough to just, I'm not doing that anymore.
All right, let's move on. Let's do final question, final E. And Ben joined us this morning, and we'll talk E with this one. What do you think about the NBA All-Star Draft? Whose team is better, LeBron's soon-to-be free agent squad, or Giannis's mainly not from his country squad? I'll start with.
That question?
Yeah, I like that question. I'll start with you, Pavchik, on that.
I make it very clear that I don't watch really any All-Star game. I don't know the rosters. The only thing I know, who picked first?
LeBron.
Okay, so I'm going to pick LeBron's team because he's got LeBron, Steph, and Blake Griffin. Those are the only
that's
the only 3 players I know which team they're on.
That's completely wrong.
Oh, Giannis picked. I thought Steph was the number 1 pick.
No, LeBron took KD first.
Okay, so it's KD and Blake Griffin. Weird. Okay,
Blake's on Giannis.
I pick Giannis.
Yeah, Blake's on Giannis's team, bro.
He was the.
He is. He's a reserve.
Okay, I quit. Yeah, see, this is how little the All-Star game matters.
But it was people wanted televised, and it was cool televised. You know what I mean? And they made jokes about the Anthony Davis thing. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, is that tampering? They made a trade midway to the thing, which is pretty cool. It's like, all right. He's like, yeah, I know Westbrook and Embiid don't like each other.
How about Simmons?
Yeah, so how about we trade it, and maybe your team can blow up with everybody's angry over there. You know what I mean? But it was pretty cool. Like, yes, on LeBron's squad it is a bunch of people that are going to be free agents. And Giannis said, like, yeah, I wanted to take a bunch of people who are foreign, not from this country, you know, which is pretty cool. It's completely funny that James Harden is on a amazing scoring tear that which his team needs, and he got picked 7th. You know what I mean? Not first, not second, not third, fourth, fifth. He got picked 7th.
Pretty sure Blake got picked 7th.
You don't even know.
It's the only thing I read. I swear.
James Harden was picked. Was the 7th pick. It was like all your scoring's for nothing. Nobody wants to be sitting on the side, clapping for 20 seconds for you to pass the ball, knowing that you're not going to pass the ball.
It's because he's never going to.
Benjamin,
I like the All-Star Draft. I think it's different. I think it's a neat way to engage fans. So I'm a fan of it. I don't really have anything too negative to say about it, but I do think Giannis' team is better. They just have a more complete starting 5, a better bench, which is typical of a LeBron James team, right? The bench is always kind of like the weak link. So
he picked Kyrie.
It just kind of fits, but it's also kind of nice though too that Dwayne Wade, who got a special exemption, is going to be with LeBron. Those two guys, teaming back up. So
him like and that, Dirk. That was a pretty cool thing that Adam Silver
could have thrown Vince Carter.
So
no, Vince Carter's going to play.
He's going to play another.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, I do. I like it. I don't really have anything negative to say about it because I think it's the most unique way to go about an exhibition All-Star game is to just throw names into a pool and then old school, blacktop type, Rucker Park, just be like, no, I'll take that guy. No, okay, I'll take that guy. And then you just go at it. You roll the ball out on the court and you just go. Like, that's something I would love to see instead of a tip-off. You roll a ball out on a court and have two guys dive.
Oh,
for
dodgeball rules.
No, just like dive for it and then see who comes out with
Or
the
you know
ball.
what? What it used to do when I
Used to be the old fumble drill.
No, like when you go.
Well, that's a chest pass.
No, not chest pass. The shut up. No, when you pass the ball and you pass it back.
Oh, 3 feet, no check?
3 feet, no check. Yeah, there you go. 3 foot, no check. Yeah, check. And then you bring it up. That's it. Step backward.
So
last thought.
My only issue with this was the fact that they decided to put it on the trade deadline day. Really, nobody really gives a shit about the All-Star game this day because we're still talking about the things that happened at the trade deadline. You could have picked a completely different day that wasn't already impacted with the trades.
They just wanted to make like one day all about the NBA. So
it's like they could have done better with that because a lot of people didn't even know that the damn thing was on.
Yeah,
Like,
I didn't know either until the day after it happened. So
yeah, I like the strategy that both like Giannis and LeBron employed. Like LeBron picked all the free agents. He's like, I can recruit these guys during halftime, and then Giannis picked all the guys who are overlooked, like D'Angelo Russell, Vucevic. You know, I like Giannis's team a little bit better. Like Ben said, they're more balanced.
LeBron's team does look more fun. I do
On
think
paper,
they're going.
yeah.
I think they are going to win. But it's funny though. He picked KD first, and when they asked KD, it's like, "What do you think of LeBron picking you first?" He was like, "What else was he supposed to do?"
Yeah, I mean, after all, it's really clear. It's
pretty logical.
Yeah, it's pretty logical. I mean, really, what he is. We all know that really is.
You are the chosen one.
I've been having a lot of fun with that. Lance, last thought before we move on.
No thought. I have no idea what's going on with the.
Okay.
Yeah, I get it.
All right, so the Super Bowl happened on Sunday. So if you case you all missed it, Tom Brady. And before we get to the game itself, I do want to talk a little bit about what'd you guys think? Well, let's start with the commercials first, and then we'll get to the recap. And
Why? We could talk about the game in about 3 minutes. There's like 3 plays we got to talk about, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Everybody can name the punter. No.
I mean, honestly, like I watched it from kickoff to. I mean, I didn't watch the halftime show because I don't like Maroon 5, and we instead.
I like Maroon 5.
I did not enjoy that.
My friends, one of my friends did not know that Super Dave Osborne passed away, so we watched Super Dave Osborne videos on YouTube from the '80s.
Instead of the halftime show, yeah.
And that was
that's what we did.
Yeah.
That's honestly what we did. You guys laugh. That's what we did.
And you thought you liked it, didn't you, Ben?
It was nice reminiscing, going down,
But some of that bits
memory lane.
Yeah, but by the time we got done, it was still...
It was fun to see Roger just, like, lose his stuff, though, on his easy chair and just constantly laugh at every little...
Yeah, because it was funny. Super Dave is great.
Every little joke that Super Dave had, Roger just going to his chair going like...
Like, I mean, for that period of time, if you think about it that way. But honestly, I mean, for most of the Super Bowl, it was.
See, but here's the thing. The question is, the game itself was a great game. Was it entertaining? No. But people saying, "Oh, the game sucked." No, it did not. I mean, you still had see, that's the thing. The people going, means that it wasn't entertaining to you.
No, Jared Goff played like crap. The whole Rams offense was crap.
He could have had 2 touchdowns until the Patriots defense on a last-second opportunity, either 1, picked off the ball, or 2, knocked the ball out of Brandon Cook's hands. That's what I'm saying. It was a well-played game. It was still a close game in the fourth quarter. The fourth quarter was still interesting. Yeah, granted, the score was only 3-3, but that's what I mean. The game was a good game. It just wasn't entertaining, and that's why people hate it, because people are just like, "Oh, it wasn't 35-31. This game sucks." No, it was still a good game.
It's like not the first time, but rarely that in the fourth quarter it's still a game. Previous Super Bowls is a blowout, or it's not close. It's not really interesting. I mean, you could tell the inexperience in Jared Goff, and then the Rams did the opposite of everything that they did all year long. You know what I mean? But I enjoyed. This is the first time that I watched the Super Bowl, and I was by myself, and probably like
what
15.
What happened to the missus?
Dude, I would bring you over, man.
Well, they went on the cruise. They went on the cruise, so I was home alone all week. But I had to. I worked until like 2-3, and then the game came on, and I had to work at 3 o'clock in the morning again. So I was like, man, I'm not about to hang out an hour away from home, and then I might as well just watch the game at home. It's better. And I could watch.
Should have gone over to Casa de Castillo I did. I would have watched it alone otherwise. I could have came over to your house. That's what we could have done. Yeah.
Well, I watched it. I watched the whole thing, the halftime show, the commercials. I got it was complete quiet where I was, so I got to tune in to every
Honestly,
bit.
you know what, Pro? I just see this right now. I just see this playing in the background somewhere.
Goodbye, David.
Or what?
Goodbye, David.
Who's David?
You know, Pros, eating this plate of nachos.
It was pretty sad though. It was like, man.
You have Jim Nantz going in the back, and Tom Brady drops back. And he finds Gronk over the middle, and that's a big catch inside the 3.
And all you just see is that white from the TV with Pro's face, just like with this music, like eating the nachos. And he says something about, what was it? Who's the quarterback? Tony Romo says something. You're like, but that tear comes down his eye because it's like. Meanwhile, me and Ben are like
trying to high five somebody.
Yeah.
Like, there's nobody there.
Yeah.
Tony Romo like, oh, watch this. The safeties are backing off. Jim. They're backing off. It's going to be a pass over the middle to Edelman. Watch out. Here's the snap. Oh, this is a great play.
But it was pretty funny that Tony Romo took the jokes with stride. Like, he opened up the Super Bowl. It was like, yeah, we're at Tony Romo. We're at the Super Bowl. And then he's like, I waited my entire life to hear that. You know what I mean? Just to be introduced at the Super Bowl. And, like, he knows he's been hearing that joke all week long, the past 2 weeks. And
I would have ripped him harder than that. Be like, don't you wish you just signed like a 1-year deal to be Tom Brady's backup to be here? Just to, like, really, like, egg him on.
Yeah, I like the sense of humor he does provide a little bit. He was less subdued than he was in the AFC Championship. In the AFC Championship game, I thought it was a little over the top. But this, I think he kind of toned it back a little bit. But I did enjoy the game. I enjoyed the aspects of the defensive battle. And you're right, Pro. Goff was not ready. Wasn't ready for that at all. But people were still arguing that he was outperforming Tom Brady. And I got in an argument with somebody. I'm like, are you serious? He's not. Oh, because he threw one interception? Yeah, come on.
Well, again, though, like, Goff had almost 2 touchdown passes. Brady didn't. The closest one he had was that one to Gronk that Gronk caught at the 3-yard line.
Yeah.
I mean, really good catch, too, by the way.
I mean, like I said, don't get me wrong. Like, Goff didn't play well. I mean, he didn't play exceptionally well, but neither did Brady. Brady just made the one clutch play that Goff did not make. Yeah. Having said that, like, I don't, like, people want to say, like the Rams were terrible, but again,
their first half play calling was just straight garbage. I thought,
but it wasn't. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't great. It wasn't great.
That's I'm not saying the game was terrible, but I'm saying that the Rams kind of. It seemed like their offense. Why did their offense change in their last 2 games of the season? And that's why I was frustrated with that Super Bowl. Is because I'm waiting to hear about the Todd Gurley stuff. Yeah, I'm so confused. You're not going to. C.J. Anderson didn't play well.
You're not going to hear the procedure when it happens, but you're going to hear something at training camp like, yeah, he got his knee cleaned out in April. You know what I mean? Like some secret thing.
Well, yeah, that's going to come out regardless. Because I mean, when you're not letting Todd Gurley touch the ball at all,
hey, why is he on a bike? Why is he on a bike? People.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like, his first carry of the game, wasn't it? It was like 17 yards. Yeah. I remember they made a comment like, Todd Gurley in the game for the first time, 17-yard run, and then he got 3 more touches the rest of the game.
But on a run in the third quarter, it was like an 8-yard run. When he got up and the camera zoomed on him, you can see him
limping.
He limped and he was squinting his face like, oh, fuck. You know what I mean? Like, people say, like, well, why is he playing if it's Super Bowl? Bro, it's a Super Bowl. You know what I mean? You could have 2 root canals that need to happen tomorrow. You're going to play in the Super Bowl just because it's Super Bowl. But my thing was, Jared Goff did not sit in the pocket to throw a pass into the fourth quarter, which an experienced quarterback would have done. Like, bro, take that hit. Take the hit and throw it. He didn't do it one time until the fourth quarter when he made that. It was a great pass. I forgot what happened on the play, but he didn't do it to the fourth quarter. Now, if he would have did that all game long, it probably would have been better, but it just showed the inexperience in Goff because you're not a scrambling quarterback. Stay in the pocket and throw the ball.
Well, him and Pat Mahomes kind of have that same issue. They're afraid of the pocket.
They're not. I wouldn't even put them in the same conversation.
They're afraid of the pocket.
But Pat Mahomes can sling it. Goff he's not a slinger.
They're both better, I think, moving out of the pocket as passers.
But he should have, and they were even talking about on the broadcast, bro, sit in the pocket. He's waited for the play to develop, and he just left too early. And then, all right, now that's why I was like punt after punt after punt. You know what I mean? Like they have a great offense, they have a great defense. Yes, I feel like they kind of blew it. This could have been. This was their year, kind of like it was the Houston Rockets' year last year.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like this was their year, but everybody showed up, but the one person you can see the real inexperience was Jared Goff, and you can't knock him for that. You know what I mean? What is his third year, and you're going against Tom Brady? You're on the biggest stage, so they'll learn from it. Hopefully, they can come back or at least close to the situation. But it was a good game. It was definitely low scoring, better than everybody was saying. It's going to be 34, 31, 27.
Well, and that's the other thing though too, right? Like you have to give Steve Wilkes a lot of credit for shutting down that Rams offense too. I mean, that's why I think it was a good game. Like if you break it down, a pure love of football, that was impressive. To holding the Rams to not a single touchdown. The fact we're even talking about that's a little mind-blowing, isn't it? Because, the Patriots and the Chiefs were in an offensive, Donnybrook 2 weeks prior. And then you go into the Super Bowl and you shut down Sean McVay and Jared Goff and the Rams. That right there, just to me, still shows how good of a game it truly was. Like I said, I agree. It was not entertaining for people that want to be entertained by football. But if you like watching football, that was a damn good football game. Because even at Rogers' watch party, they're like, oh, this game sucks. I'm like, they're like, Ben, are you into it? I'm like, oh, yeah. I'm into this. This is good. I'm totally okay with it.
People don't like defense and low scoring. You know what I mean? People got to not saying everybody who didn't like the game is simple. You know what I mean? But
yeah, again though, who would have thought the Rams wouldn't have gotten a touchdown in the Super Bowl? Honestly, if we had that prop bet the day before the Super Bowl, we'd be like, do you think the Rams are going to score? Everyone would be like, you're an idiot. The Rams are going to score at least one touchdown. You're stupid. It didn't happen. So that, right there, it's just just blows out your mind.
I know this is kind of just cheap to say, and you could always do this with any scenario, but damn, it would have been a better game if Drew Brees was there.
Thank you. I was
you know what I mean?
to say that.
It would have been because it would have been the Old Man Bowl. You know what I mean? It for sure would have been more scoring, and not that I had a problem with the low scoring game. It just wasn't cool to see the inexperience. It's kind of I was getting angry at Jared Goff just because, almost in the same sense of how I don't like Joe Flacco. It's like, man, you got it all right here, and you're just kind of messing it up. You know what I mean? But the Drew Brees that game would have been a lot better. But whatever.
Yeah, I mean, again,
maybe not.
Maybe not. Who knows? That.
Either way, but what I did enjoy some of the ads. There were some good ads this year. There was a couple of them that stood out to me, and I'm not sure if Facebook Live probably get in trouble for this, but whatever. There's some here. I'm gonna find some of them, but the one I did enjoy the most was, and I've been hating them for the entire time during this, is the Bud Light commercials, those stupid dilly commercials. I hate them with a passion.
Oh my, yeah.
But they're terrible. However, HBO decided to say, hey, you know what? I know that. Here's the thing, Bud Light. Let's be honest here. No one likes your ads. No one likes your ads at all, and let's call it the way it is. And
that's not true at all, dude. You know how many people I hear saying dilly dilly all the time?
Really? Yeah.
All the time. I don't know where you got your info, but man, everyone loves those commercials.
Your Nielsen ratings are wrong.
Oh, you know what? My old man, my old man stuff. I'm an old man, but apparently I think it's dumb. And also, why is Bud Light promoting their stuff on their label? Like that. Oh, we have a label that has our ingredients on it.
Well, because
that was hilarious to me. It's like we got your shipment of corn syrup. I was crying.
Here we go. Here's the ad that I liked that they did.
It's a beautiful day for a joust.
Indeed. Sun's out. Got my lucky loincloth, cold Bud Light, comfy throne. I don't have the plague anymore.
Look, it's the Bud Light.
You, hold my beer. You, hold my other beer. Whoops. One more. All right, let's tap this keg.
because this is a podcast and you can't see what's happening, he's dead now.
Yeah.
Well, not yet. He just got knocked off his horse. He's about to die in about 3, 2, 1. There's the mountain. Get him, baby. Now he's done. See?
Then it turns out it was all a Game of Thrones commercial the whole time.
Well done.
But here's the thing, though, right? Like, this is the beauty of that type of commercial. You totally know HBO went to Bud Light and said, hey, you want to go halvesies on a commercial? You'll get, some mention, obviously, and then we'll come in and kind of destroy your commercial. Is that cool? They'd be like, yeah, that's fine. Like, we don't care. Our product is still there. And it's featured for like 20 seconds of the entire 30-second spot. And boom. But yeah, that ad won the Super Bowl for me.
Bud Light was killing it.
Yeah, I think this is the one that won the Super Bowl.
Hello, friends, and welcome back to beautiful Atlanta, Georgia, and the home of the
CBS is off the air.
Witness an empty space, filled with thousands of screaming people. A man both nowhere and everywhere at the same time. Answers are new questions. The unthinkable is the expected.
What did I have for
When
lunch?
truth is not the truth, what dimension are you even in?
Where did I put that Tupperware thing?
Did I turn off the oven?
Did I leave the coffee pot on?
I'm very excited about
More
that.
on the Twilight Zone.
That's an odd commercial, but
the Twilight Zone, it's classic.
But the Bud Light one, with them carrying around that corn syrup, like, yeah, Coors Light, we got your corn syrup. Miller Lite, we got your corn syrup. No, we got our shipment of corn syrup. It was like that was pretty funny. But probably the coolest one was like the NFL 100, like where they had all the players.
Yeah, that was my favorite one.
That was like super
that Hall of
cool.
Fame dinner party.
Uh-huh.
That was pretty cool.
Except Charles Woodson wasn't in that ad. One of the best defensive backs of all time. You don't even put him in that ad. Come on.
I just wonder, like, I would have liked to just been there.
Yeah.
Like doing all this, you know what I mean? Like, and just to be in the room. I know there's no way they got all them people at the same time, but it would have just been cool just to be there for filming and all those like amazing people, old, young. It was pretty cool.
And now everybody's telling me dilly dilly. My wife sends me a text, dilly dilly.
Uh-huh.
Jeremy.
Dilly dilly.
Yeah, Jeremy with his demographic. Boy.
Not a fan of the dilly dillies, huh?
I feel like I'm the only person. I usually go do something else during the commercials at the Super Bowl.
No, I did my homework.
Yeah,
I muted the TV.
Well, you're cool.
Well, like,
no, I was like you. I was by myself, right? I didn't even watch the game with volume. I did my homework. I wanted to kind of feel the tension between the two defensive coordinators kind of thing because I thought it was a great game. I really appreciated the defensive approach. I played defense in high school, so there's that. But
so did
I can understand, though, how the general fan who goes to a Super Bowl party would think that game sucked. With that said,
everybody in my house enjoyed it. I mean, all the people that watched it.
I enjoyed the
anyway.
company. I enjoyed my company.
I enjoyed it. There were some good plays on both sides. I feel like L.A. left some plays on the table. And the 2 touchdowns that you assume should have been the difference in the game, those were just bad throws back off. Not even bad throws. They were thrown poorly.
No, I thought the Brandon Cooks one was a good throw. Brandon Cooks kind of dropped it.
I'm not even talking about that one.
Well, there was that one that he kind of, dropped. Then there was one where he was wide open in the end zone, that throw was late.
He threw that ball late, and then the interception, he kind of rushed that throw.
He's like, Jared, I'm open, bud! Right here!
McCourty ran 30 yards from the other side of the field, so that means that the throw was late and it hung.
Well, right. And then Jared's like, you're not a Patriot. Okay. He throws him the ball and just,
Yep. So outside of that,
I
don't know. I thought it was just a good chess match, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's the Super Bowl. I was kind of expecting more because the the conference championships were so great. They both went to OT. It's just kind of hard to match that anyway. So
I would have loved a 2-3 final in the Super Bowl. People would have lost their damn minds. Like let's say Aaron Donald sacked Tom Brady for a safety, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Tom Brady leads them down, and Gostkowski gets a game-winning field goal, and it's a 3-0 win or 3-2 win. People would just be like, "Really? This is the Super Bowl we get?" It's like, yeah.
Finally, Gostkowski gets the MVP that he deserves.
and then him calling the miss. He's like, oh yeah, he doesn't miss field goals. It's like 27 to 27.
Yeah.
And then,
he was 31 of 31 in that stadium. That's what the stat.
No,
was.
I thought the stat was there were like
no field goals. Really.
Mercedes-Benz Stadium of all the field goals, not that he made, that any kicker took at the stadium.
But it was still 31
there was no
to
miss.
31.
Yeah, there was not a single miss until the Super Bowl.
3 seconds later.
But it's like it happens like that all the time. They give some crazy stat. And it was like, well, that's out the window.
I mean, that does always happen, but it's just pure happenstance that it happens.
Well,
right?
it's the law of law of averages. Like it's not going to be 100%,
right.
So it's eventually somebody's going to miss.
Right. And that's the thing too, right? It's like talking about a no-hitter. Do you talk about it or do you not talk about it?
No, you don't talk about it.
See, as someone who does play-by-play, you have to bring it up. You have to. Like in some way, shape, or form, you got to be like, and you don't want to go away for this one. So far, a lot of swings and misses.
That's vague. So
but
that works.
But
they did set a record.
Of what?
The longest punt, 65 yards.
Oh, yeah. What? Hecker's punt? Yeah.
Wasn't that set last year, too, or something?
Something like that. But, I mean, either way. I mean, the Super Bowl was definitely polarizing. Let's not mince words here. It was because the casual football fan that usually this is the 1 or 2 games that they actually pay attention to all year. They're like, this is football. It's like, actually, yeah, this is what football is.
I think huge, not majority, but a huge number of people. Because what was it? 6 weeks ago, we had the highest scoring game ever, and people were like, this is where the NFL's going. And then since that game,
Rams Chiefs, Sunday night, where it was back and I hated that game, but yeah,
it was frustrating. See, to me, that's like a college game. You want to see quality football on both sides. It's not that fun. I was at that Illinois-Michigan game that ended up being 65 to 63.
Overtime game.
Yeah, the quintuple overtime game. That was awful. It was literally just like, just end it, please. Like, it wasn't about the defense making any plays. It was about, is the offense 65. Finally going to mess up?
Mm-hmm. Goodness.
Yeah, it was quintuple OT. And they scored on every OT possession.
Was that Denard Robinson?
Game.
Yeah,
basketball.
Denard
Robinson. That was like
Denard
Illinois versus him.
Well, Denard Robinson got hurt
injured
in the fourth quarter, and Nate Forcier came in.
That's right.
But that's when Forcier had lost the job already.
Yeah.
And that was Forcier's last season at Michigan because he didn't attend class.
Hey, speaking of Denard Robinson, he's scheduled
playing
today. Today? Yeah. In the AAF, right?
Yeah, the AAF. There's a game at 4 o'clock and at 8 o'clock. It's going to be actually it's going to be interesting because you can't blitz in the league, and they have no kickoff. So it's going to be like watching a high school all-star game.
Yeah, and I heard instead of onside kicks, you have a 4th and 12 on your own 28. That's how you can get the ball back. 4th and 12 on your own 28.
Basically, it's going to be a think tank for all of the NFL's rule changes, ideas.
They're saying they're trying. The AAF is trying to set themselves up to try to be the NFL developmental league that we all have want. They're
going to run up against the XFL.
That's a way to segue.
Well, I thought the XFL. XFL's whole point was to be totally different than the NFL.
All right. Speaking of which, go ahead, Lance. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, speaking of rule changes and rules, that leads into our next one, which kind of I wish I would have talked about this on Tigers, but I didn't get a chance to see it. It's been kind of
because I brought it up to you yesterday.
Yeah, and I did a little bit of research on this last time when I got home before I passed out for the evening. And this is, again, and I don't know if you were here for this, Lance, was talking about earlier how, I think you were, about how baseball does these extreme things when they start panicking. They have a panic attack, and they go, we'll have to do this. Mm-hmm. And this is one of them.
You can't just say panic like that. You have to, say it. Say panic, Roger. Go nuts.
Panic! These people are morons. They have decided to go ahead and change things to make things to change.
See, I was just thinking of panic like that. Just actually just yell it.
Well,
I'm sure people listening at home hate the fact I yell.
It's
They're
not
like,
like,
damn it, Ben, stop yelling off the mic.
it's not like it came out of nowhere. They've been trying to fix the game for like 10 years, quote unquote.
But is the game broken?
Yeah, that's why I said quote unquote fix.
Is the game truly broken?
No,
Next on the SRD Roadshow.
All jokes aside, I mean, the union requested a universal designated hitter, and this is something what Max Scherzer said this last year about pitchers batting, no longer taking, like, he doesn't want to bat anymore because of potential injury, that there'd be a DH. So there'd be on the National League side of things.
I hope on opening day someone buzzes his tower for that comment. I'm not even kidding. I'd be like, you know what, Max, this is coming in high and tight. Duck.
And what's crazy is, like, Max Scherzer isn't a terrible hitter for a pitcher. He hits, like, I think in the 170s, which for a pitcher isn't bad. Okay, I've been wanting to bring this up, Roger. You know who is, like, super excited about this? Madison Bumgarner. Madison Bumgarner could literally be another Shohei Ohtani, right?
Yeah.
He literally could. He could be the DH on the days he doesn't pitch. No, I don't know. I thought about that. He's probably thinking, like, I got to talk to my agent if this happens.
Yeah, and also there's some other stuff, too. In addition to asking for the universal DH, the Players Association also addressed service time manipulation and general concerns about competition, which is very, very true because also the response to this was from to impose a 3-batter minimum for pitchers, which would effectively kill jobs and essentially specifically the left-handed specialist. So they were saying that would improve pace of play. And I'm getting really, really tired of hearing about this pace of play crap because no one bitches about the NFL going 3 to 4 hours a game. I mean, if you're not watching Red Zone, you watch a game from the time about 1 o'clock till about, 4 o'clock sometimes?
It's always at least 4. It's like 4:15.
I was going to say the official times for programming is 1 to 4:25.
I'm so sick and tired of people bitching about baseball times. I'm so sick of it because there's games that go 2 hours and 50 minutes or sometimes 2 hours and 20 minutes, and no one bats an eye about
But
those.
it's something that we brought up, when you and I were talking about it last night during intermission. It's because there's no movement in baseball anymore. It's literally either you strike out or you hit a long bomb. Like, there's no, like...
No one's running bases.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, there's no hit. There's rarely hit and runs anymore.
Because of the shifts now.
Well, right. There's not that. There's not a lot of base stealing. And if it is, it's not like... It's just not randomly happening. Like, you know when it's going to happen.
It's situational. It's too
right.
situational. No,
So,
I
that.
get that.
That right there, people are... I mean, they're getting bored because it is. You're just watching a pitcher pitch and a hitter hit. You're not watching anything else that makes baseball beautiful. You don't see a game in motion.
I think that people, the reason I do think this, I don't know if I'm crazy, but the reason NFL is king is because it's one game a week. Mm-hmm. You're talking about total minutes. You get 3 hours a week. With baseball, you're getting 3-hour games that are going to be happening 6 days a week. So what people like, while people may care about baseball at any given time, they're not going to care about one game in the course of a week. The casual baseball fan is what I mean. So I think what Major League is trying to do, they are trying to do. They're trying to catch more casual fans. It's easier to be a casual fan in the NFL than it is in baseball because baseball always has something going on. NFL, you have a week, you have a game on a Sunday, and then you have an entire week to digest what you get there. You have 24 hours or really less to digest a baseball game before the next one.
What they say, the average age of the baseball fan who follows it is 50 years old. Mm-hmm. So they're trying to make it younger. Like, nobody cares about these long ass games. Nobody got time for that. You know what I mean? So they are trying to get the games to the 3 hour mark. You know what I mean? So I get everything that they're trying to do. You know what I mean? But I don't like the universal DH thing. Like a whole lot. I mean, everything that they're proposing, it can't really start until 2022, anyways.
Could you go over everything? We kind of stopped right after the DH.
They're gonna. They want to.
Well, no, he's got the article.
Yeah, so I want to continue to go on with this. So, other changes in discussion include a single trade deadline before the All-Star break, the expansion of 26 to men with 12 pitcher maximum, and a rule to allow two-sport amateurs to sign major league contracts. Also, there was a possibility. The changes include a 20-second pitch clock, a reduction in mound visits from 6 to 5, and the placement of a base runner on second base when spring trainings and the All-Star game reach extra innings, which I think is Spring training and an All-Star game. Okay, fine. They're doing that right now. They did it last year. I've seen it a couple times in Erie, and there was also one about moving the mound back. I'm trying to see where I saw that at in here.
Lowering the mound.
Lowering the mound. So, which...
And moving it back.
Yeah, moving it back. So, we'll see. I knew there was a moving back aspect of it. But
they want to move it back, I think, 6 inches.
So they don't think...
6 more inches.
So it's 51, or it's 50 and a half feet right now, right?
Yeah.
So they want to move it to 51. That seems...
Well, just because it gives a batter that extra half a second to adjust.
The pitch clock...
tenth of a second.
That's,
that's a lot.
Yeah. I know. That's why I'm saying, like...
That pitch
1 second
clock
would be
is
insane.
catching on. You know what I mean? That's going to move forward. The whole DH thing, I don't feel like that is. The whole thing about a minimum of 3 batters unless you close out an inning, I feel like that's kind of stupid. You know what I mean? Like
I don't in a way because
there was a team this year that went through their whole pitching lineup. Okay, all right, I got a pitcher for you. All right, I got a pitcher for you. That's kind of strategizing. It also
that's John Madden or not John Madden, Joe Madden.
That also like shot themselves in the foot from that. But like some of the rule changes, I'm not for. There's nothing really exciting about it, but the main thing, they do need to get the games to like a smaller amount. These 4.5 hour games, or say that's just too much. It's not even an interesting, like exciting game.
The only games that last that long are Yankee versus Red Sox games.
Actually,
the average baseball game was
softball fields.
Yeah, I mean, like the average game last year and the past 2 years was right in between, like 3 hours and 15 minutes. Like it was right on par with football games.
Yeah,
that's why
but
that argument is stupid.
baseball used to be shorter. But did you know that the Tigers have had the longest game in the majors the past 2 seasons? The longest 9-inning game. They played a 4-hour and 10-minute 9-inning game this year.
But that's been like the major complaint when they did the survey of what's your biggest issue with MLB games.
That's just 'cause
everybody's
baseball
talking about
seems longer.
And it's like,
really
well,
not.
the
The
game's
nature
long.
of the game, though.
But
Yeah,
it's the nature of the game. Baseball is the only game that's not timed.
But
therefore, the strategy is what takes precedent. Now, if you start
It is timed.
changing,
It's timed by innings.
you know what I mean, though. Like if you start changing the game in order to like benefit sponsorship and fan viewing and all this, you're changing the game as a whole. Like I don't like any of this personally. Trying not to be that fan guy who's like, oh, this is terrible. I understand the business aspect of it. I understand it. No, I don't. I'm so traditional, right? But you don't change the rules of the game, the basic elements of the game for time. If you're a general fan and you don't watch, you just don't watch.
Well, okay,
there you go.
it's going to die then. You've got to do something that's going to help the sport.
The game isn't going to die. The game is not going to die.
It's headed there.
Look at the average age of the people who follow baseball. And then look at the average age of the people who follow the other sports. Nobody cares about baseball games because
other sports are designed to be more exciting. And
But that is a huge matter of opinion.
But true, but
that's the whole point that we're arguing.
I get it. I get it.
But if you look at like they're looking at the people's complaints. It's not just me saying it, you saying it. They took a survey and they're looking at what's the biggest complaint people have. The games are too long. What can we do to shorten the games then? So they're trying to fix the issue that people were actually having with it. Yes,
I get it.
Strategizing and doing this is like, well, the whole pitch clock. Yes, they should have done that shit years ago. You shouldn't have 5 minutes between each pitch.
I like the clock in between innings.
Yeah, I do too.
Get out of the dugout, get on the field, get you a couple warm-up throws, and let's play. I get that.
That's why they're trying to put carts out there for the people.
But 20 seconds, like that's a basketball shot clock in order for me to get my signs get my defense in, position. Whatever. Like that's changing the game. That's what made baseball great. Now, because people don't like that now, I should change the whole concept of the game. It's like, go watch something else. Because there's still a high number of people who like that part of the game.
But
you don't hear from them.
The numbers getting lower and revenues dropping.
I doubt that.
Well,
the revenue's not dropping in baseball. It's up, isn't it?
I doubt that.
Attendance is way down.
Attendance is, but revenue's up.
Timeout. Timeout. Okay. It's dying. Yeah, exactly. It's dying nationally, but it's the most regionalized sport. In regions, it is highly popular. I mean, that's why regional sports networks are popping up all over the place out of nowhere. It's because actually baseball is more popular regionally than nationally. It's actually the inverse of what we're normally used to. Like the NBA, it's more popular nationally, obviously. Like stars from across like state to state. Football, obviously the same thing there. Baseball, you just know who's good in your division. You don't really like we know the names, obviously, like Bryce Harper, Mike Trout. We know those names, but like that's it. Like those are the two names you know. You're not thinking of like someone else in like Texas or something unless like something major happens and Sports Center talks about it for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But baseball is very, very strong regionally, and in the industry that I work in my day job, backs that up. I mean, the ratings regionally for baseball are very, very good. National games, like National Games of the Week, do terrible.
What if you do this? What if you shorten the season? I think 162 games is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But shorten it back to like 140.
Just
go back to
bring back the
132.
twin bill. Do you realize that you just knocked off $1 billion? That's like
Yeah, but-
you would get laughed out of an office. You say, let's shorten the games. How
That's
much money?
funny, but you're arguing, You're arguing, based off that comment, that baseball is not as popular when it's the revenue that they're trying. So they're trying to speed the games up so that they can continue to have people filtering in and not complain about getting caught in traffic at 11 p.m. because the game went late. If the game goes into extra innings and these fans decide to stay, that's on them. Then they can't go back and complain about it, which is what they're doing.
I'm not talking about extra. I'm just talking about regular games. You know what I mean?
But you have to change the whole game to accommodate.
They'll never change the games. Like the amount of games
I think they should bring back the twin bill. Have day-night doubleheaders. That will speed up the season.
I love them.
You can still have
They're
162 games. Just about have like 10 or 12 of them be day-night doubleheaders. That twin bill was one of the best things about baseball.
Yeah, and then
it's on a Saturday. You could go from like 1 o'clock to 10 o'clock at night and watch 2 games. I think that's fantastic.
It makes it very unique.
Lower the prices for that game so families, if they want to go, can go to both games. Call it like family night. It's the twin bill at Co-America. Why not? That makes too much sense.
But people don't go to day games like they used to either. I know. So that's it. I think they would lose probably money
I
on
used
that.
to work downtown, man, and Tigers have a day game. Downtown was packed.
Well, really?
Not in the last 2 years.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm like,
but even when they started downtrending, like it was a cool reason to take the day off and keep the kids out of school. Like I just don't. I personally don't believe baseball is trending down as a fan viewer type of.
Maybe amongst the younger generation, it is.
No, I disagree.
Well,
I disagree.
Rayvon, what about you? I mean, I think you represent the young demographic.
I actually used to love baseball when I was a lot younger, but I've kind of gotten away from it as
the games are too
I've gotten
long?
older. That's a big part of it. That's probably the biggest part of it.
Is it really because the games are too long? Honestly,
I mean, yeah. Even when you go in person and watch, it's just still.
I have never had an issue with the length of any sporting event ever.
Yeah,
that's what she said. I never had issue with length. Sorry.
But
I hope she didn't.
I'm glad she said that.
Right.
No, but like Rayvon, let me ask you this though. In terms of the actual game, you take away the action part of the game, the actual aspect of the game. Does that still enjoy you?
I still enjoy it, but for the younger generation, I think you're competing with basketball and football, where it's more action packed. You expect more highlights throughout a game in those sports than in baseball. I mean, that's
Jeremy.
There's really no way around that.
Jeremy, who's up next with Mitten Sports Talk, agrees with that. He's nodding his head. And for myself, I love baseball for the sense of what Ben was saying earlier, the grace of the game, the movement. Like I miss that part. I do miss all the stealing. I do miss that. I miss what I really miss. I hate the old timers who are talking about like showing up and old timers bitching about like bat flips and everything. That's what makes it interesting, and that's what makes it fun. Yeah, and Goose Gosh just shut up and not say anything.
Let's
about
buzz
anything.
his tower. Goose,
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah, he buzzed so many towers because he was he's an old curmudgeon idiot. Anyways, all right, we're out of time, and thanks for tuning in on Facebook Live. If you did,
I'm sorry I was late.
It's okay.
It was all backwards today. I got here before everybody
Yeah,
else.
Ben. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Papchak got here before.
Ben, nice to meet you. I'm Mike.
Yeah.
It's
So
better you late than her.
nice job by Rayvon and Rayvon and Mike. Thank you for producing the show this week. Lance, always a pleasure for you to stop by. And
thanks for having me.
Yeah, next week Rayvon's gonna be running the board. And,
Yeah.
he'll be hosting the show. I will literally be sitting back and taking notes.
LeBron James is not the greatest.
There it is. Yes. All right, so we're back next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Look forward to talking and see ya.